Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we are very happy to announce that Commissioner Linda Spears is back with us again, and we're so excited to have her here. Give her a warm welcoming, even though she can't hear the applause. Hopefully, she can see it. And thank you. Now, Linda Spears.
Good morning, and thank you ever so much. It is a delight to be here for the 2020 Making a Difference Conference. What a difference from last year. My goodness, it is just impossible to even begin to describe what every single one of us has been through in the last 9 months. But yet we're all still here, and that's wonderful. I want to start out by recognizing all of the many folks in this audience today. I know that there are ed surrogates and foster moms and foster dads and adoptive moms and dad and kinship care providers and others who support families out in the community. And it is just a pleasure to join you today. I want to say thank you first and foremost, for all that you've done in the last 9 months to help stabilize and support kids in DCF care and custody during COVID-19. We've been extraordinarily successful with your help. Is everything perfect? Never. But I want you to know we've accomplished a milestone during this period, and that is the highest ever, yes, the highest ever ranking on placement stability. We together, and you as foster moms, adoptive moms and dads, et cetera, who are taking care of children every single day, have doubled down on your commitment to kids to keep them stable at a time that can be so destabilizing. You have no idea how much difference that makes for the health, safety, and the emotional well-being of the kids that we all care about. So thank you to each and every one of you for the work that you've done. This time during COVID is particularly hard for those folks who work in the together on behalf of DCF kids with the educational system. All of you know that the schools have been working diligently to try to at the very best, meet the needs of kids with special needs, those with IEPs, and to make sure they're in the right school setting during the pandemic. And I'm sure that there are still situations that are being sorted through each and every day with your good help and your guidance. So thank you for that. It's been a big challenge. Desi has done a wonderful job in trying to guide schools to make sure that kids with special needs have the opportunity for in-class learning. We know that the socialization and the support of these kids one-on-one is often not something that can be accomplished at home alone without additional support. So we're really grateful for the schools have stepped up to do that work with us. We know that there's still situations to be solved and more work to do, but we think that our collaboration this year has been good. As we walked into schools restarting again, I know that many of you were involved in some of the DCF, DESE, and local school district meetings that we held in August and September. We hope that those meetings set a groundwork for problem solving that will see us through the months ahead in the pandemic and help us to address some of the challenges of remote learning that kids are experiencing. We will continue to work with DESE to do that work throughout. I know some of you have had the opportunity as well to meet Jim Morrison, our new education manager. Jim fortunately came on at DCF just before the pandemic, maybe 2 months before the pandemic. So he has really been able to dive in each and every day to lend his expertise. Those of you who have met Jim know what a nice guy he is. But on top of that, he is also a former school professional and really knows the school side of the equation and is a quick study on the kids side, and on the DCF side. So we've really relied heavily on him for his ongoing communication, weekly meetings with DESE, and troubleshooting with local school districts and with you all to help make this work. I know one of the themes of the conference this year is trauma, and what better year to talk about trauma than in the midst of the pandemic, when people feel more vulnerable and there's more anxiety for all of us. Taking care of our trauma needs and those of children this year is more important to get than ever. With our stay-at-home advisories, it's easy to get isolated. It's easy for kids to feel disconnected, and it's easy for us as caregivers, surrogates, and providers to feel the stress. So we really are grateful that we are working on this, and then this is the topic of this year's conversation. During the pandemic, DCF has not stopped hiring. We hired a full-time mental health director who is really working with our regional mental health specialists to address some of the issues that are coming up in the pandemic, as well as the things that are going on every day. We know that there are more teens and young children who are dysregulating at home, who are struggling with feeling vulnerable, and who may even be having suicidal thoughts. And we're grateful for the work that Lauren is doing. Lauren Almeida, she's our mental health director. She has jumped in both feet first to make sure that we're on top of the work that we need to do with kids and families during the pandemic. I'm really also grateful to EOHS for their support during this time. They've really been working to strengthen behavioral health access, to solve some of the problems of kids who may need hospitalization during this time, and to really work with us on some of those issues and to advocate for change. Fortunately for us, just about a year ago, we also added about $5-6 million to our support and stabilization budget line for the purposes of providing trauma supports for foster families. I think I may have mentioned that at last year's conference. Those services continue to be available, and we encourage you, if you or a family is in need of additional support, and I mean foster parents and kinship families, etc., they do have the ability to access those services at the area office level. So please, we encourage you to do that. During the year, we're working on a new project as well with MSPCC this year to start what we're calling a trauma specialist program. The folks at UMass Medical started Heather Forkey, some of you know Heather, Dr. Forkey last year, maybe 2 years ago, created a program of peer mental health and behavioral health support for foster parents to foster parents. I think she has trained and coached 2 foster parents in that model. We just received a federal grant under COVID to provide specific help to foster families related to COVID. And we'll be working with MSPCC to identify some foster parents who will be trained as coaches to help us begin that program. It's not going to be a big program, but we believe that every little bit will help us do a better job at treating the trauma needs of kids in foster care. This year, we're also trying to do some things around kinship care as well. We have a kinship orientation. We've started a new kinship navigator program, which is specifically available for both DCF kin care providers and kin folks who are out in the community who don't have DCF encouragement. But there's just so much going on and so much more that we could talk about. I want to just say again, a great big thank you for all that you've done this year. And I want to also say to you, please enjoy this conference and the food, the good, and I mean the soul and heart and brain food that will come from the sessions that you're here to see. Thank you ever so much for your participation.